In a land where the snow sparkled like millions of tiny diamonds, there lived a very curious little penguin named Pingo. Pingo loved the cold more than anything, but he loved food even more. Every single day, he would watch the seals happily licking their frozen fish treats. He'd even peek at the faraway human world on television, where he saw people enjoying a magical food called ice cream. Ice cream looks so happy, Pingo would say to himself, his big, round eyes wide with wonder. It's cold and sweet and so colorful, just like my home. I want to make ice cream too. He was determined. So, one bright, sunny morning, Pingo set off on a mission. He waddled around his icy village, his little feet making soft crunching sounds in the snow. He asked all his friends if they knew the secret to making ice cream. The friendly seal, who was sunbathing on an ice floe, just laughed and said, "Easy. Just freeze it." Then Pingo found the wise old polar bear, who smiled warmly and said, "You have to add milk and a little bit of fun." Pingo nodded very seriously, taking in every piece of advice. He puffed out his chest and said proudly, "I can do this." Feeling like a real chef, he started gathering his ingredients. He collected the purest, freshest snow he could find. He got some icy, creamy milk from the friendly snow cows who grazed on frosty grass for sweetness and color. He picked sweet, ruby red berries from the frozen forest. And for that extra special touch, he found a little bit of golden honey. He carried everything back to his small ice kitchen, a cozy little nook he had carved out of snow blocks. It was his very own culinary sanctuary. Inside his kitchen, Pingo poured everything into a big, shiny bowl. He started to mix it all together. He stirred and stirred with his little flippers, which wasn't easy. He slipped a little on the icy floor and giggled as his flippers got all messy with berry juice and milk. "Wow," he said, catching his breath. "Cooking is much harder than it looks on TV." But Pingo was not a penguin who gave up easily. He kept going. His heart full of hope. Once everything was mixed, he placed the bowl outside. He thought the freezing Arctic wind would be the perfect natural freezer to turn his concoction into delicious, creamy ice cream. And so he waited. He waited and waited. Tapping his foot impatiently, he imagined how wonderful it would taste. Finally, he couldn't wait any longer. He dipped his flipper in for a taste. But it wasn't right. The mixture was as hard as a rock and not nearly sweet enough. Pingo's happy little face fell. He felt a wave of sadness wash over him. "Maybe I'm just not good at this," he whispered to the wind, his voice barely audible. Just as a single tear was about to freeze on his cheek, his friends came to visit. They saw his sad face and the bowl of failed ice cream. The seal was the first to try it. He took a lick and said, it's a bit too icy." Pingo, the polar bear, then had a taste. He nodded thoughtfully and said, "It definitely needs more sweetness." Then the little snow rabbit, who had been watching quietly, hopped forward and added, "And maybe it just needs a little bit of love." Pingo looked at his friends, and their kind words melted the sadness in his heart. A small smile appeared on his face. "You're right," he said, his voice now full of renewed energy. "Let's try again, together." And so they did. Everyone pitched in. The seal suggested a different way to stir. The bear brought more honey. The snow cows offered creamier milk. And the little rabbit supervised, making sure every stir was filled with laughter and friendship. They all worked together, adding a little bit of this and a little bit of that. They mixed it slowly and carefully this time, talking and smiling as beautiful snowflakes danced all around them. After a while, Pingo nervously scooped up some of the new mixture. This time, it looked completely different. It was smooth, colorful, and looked wonderfully creamy. He took a tiny bite. His eyes shot open and sparkled brighter than any diamond in the snow. "It's perfect," He cheered at the top of his lungs. It was the most delicious thing he had ever tasted. The other penguins started clapping their flippers. The seals began to dance and slide around in celebration. The polar bear let out a big, booming laugh that echoed across the ice. Soon, everyone in the village was enjoying Pingo's amazing ice cream. They gathered under the magical glow of the northern lights, sharing scoops of the sweet treat. And even sweeter stories and smiles. Pingo looked around at all his happy friends, his heart swelling with pride and joy. I learned something really important today, he said softly to himself. Trying something new all by yourself is hard, and it's okay to fail. But trying together with friends makes everything so much better and so much more fun. From that day forward, Pingo became known throughout the land as the penguin who never gave up. He was the penguin who showed everyone that mistakes weren't failures, they were just steps on the way to success. He was the one who turned a hard, icy mess into magical, creamy ice cream, all by sharing the process with his friends. And every time someone in that snowy, sparkling land tasted a scoop of delicious ice cream, they remembered the story of Pingo, the little penguin who tried, failed, learned, and finally succeeded, all because he had a big heart full of joy and friends to share it with. Thank you so much for watching Pingo's sweet adventure. If you love this story, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and share it with your friends. We'll see you next time with another wonderful tale. Bye for now.